The commercial aspect, is that at any point, does that play a role in making those choices?
Yes. Yeah. It's less important than for other bands. And I also have to say, this is my first band. I've never been in a band before. So I had a lot to learn really quickly, also about how my voice works or doesn't, depending on the kind of song that we're doing. There is a commercial wish. We want to play, we want to perform, we want people to like our music, we want to get it out there. But the creative element, making something new, is so deep in each of us. That's another core feature of all of us, is that we want to make something that challenges us that we've never heard before as well.
So you would not tolerate a manager saying, listen, you have to go left here because this is what sells?
Yeah, it's a balance. It is, because we want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one CD that's out, Jab Jab, first album that was released in 2019. Are there more recordings ahead?
Yeah, we're planning on. We're actually working on. We have quite a lot of material. COVID slowed down a lot of our work, of course, like everyone. So we had planned even to have an album out the end of this summer, but that was totally out the window. We're looking at next year. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, maybe on a different note, you seem to be very comfortable on stage, like a real persona, and very, powerful, confident. Do you have any tips for, say, aspiring singers in a band or in any other situation, musical situation, or other performance, on how to train this?
Well, thank you for saying that. That's something, I appreciate that. It's not always the case. It did take me some time. And I have to say that coming through classical training, it's very intense. Everything needs to be perfect. And that's something very difficult to strive for. And if you're a singer and you have an off day, anything could be going on with your voice. It can make, I spent a lot of years feeling vocally fragile until my voice settled down in my 20s. It took that long. My voice settled down, and then I could do more things with it and trust it. So that lack of trust in my own mechanism caused me quite a lot of stress and anxiety in the first few years of my career. I still wanted it, so I still went for it. But now, having had my career for quite a long time, and as I said, learning my voice and trusting it, one thing that I always believed is that it's not about me. So it's great that you see me as this sort of strong persona, but in fact, I'm almost not even in my body when I'm performing, because I don't think it's about me, this ego, at all. I think it's about the message. So I'm just a sort of conduit, if you will. I happen to be the one sharing this message. I happen to be singing it. So that takes the focus, I guess. It's not even about focus, but it's not about me. So that releases the me part of it, the ego part.
Yeah.
Secondly, as I said before, the sort of learning to trust your instrument and knowing it will mess up. It will. It can't be perfect all the time. It's ridiculous. And that's okay. And you just sort of laugh and say, whoa, did you hear that? Huh.
Yeah.
And let it go. And then third also is to work with people, seek people out that you trust, because you can very easily in this business and as a singer, they talk about divas. I mean, how many times have I been called a diva? To me, I'm totally not a diva, but maybe I am. Somebody else gives you that title. Huh? But the diva is really someone who's protecting themselves, because the voice is incredibly fragile. And I mean, even our recording session that we just did, oh, let's do it again. 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 And, you know, I can hear it in my voice right now. There's a kind of crackling happening. Yeah. Tired. And I just can't do it anymore. And I have to stop or you won't get anything out of me. So that is a diva, I guess, coming out, that I have to protect it because otherwise I won't have it. Yeah. So it's not about being rude. It's not about, you know, wanting only green M&Ms, although fine if that's all you want. It's about protecting the instrument that you have. Yeah.
Aside from being a classically trained singer, you also write poetry. That some of them I've actually read, and some of that. These parts also show up in the songs, I guess. That Dr. Jordan, of the Dr. Jordan Institute. You write these poems and hash types, as you call them. Do you write them with the band in mind, or is that a separate process?
That came on its own. As I mentioned before, that there was this period of when writing suddenly blossomed in my life about 3 years ago. And writing and sharing, not just the writing part, because I'd always written. Hash type came, I started writing 1 poem a day for a year. This was my task that I gave myself because I wanted to understand the practice of poetry. And as I started writing, I thought, actually, I'd like to share some of these. This is something I'd like to put out there as something tangible. Music is an art form that lives in time, and it's ephemeral, and then it's gone.
Kind of fleeting.
Yeah. But whereas if I can write something down or even compose, but I was just in writing, then it's a thing that I can hand over and I can still have and see. So I was in that mode. So Hashtype came about because I wanted to post my poems. I was using Instagram as the medium. In Instagram you have hashtags all over the place, also Twitter, but Instagram was my choice. And I like hashtags because they're like a little mini poem you have to decipher. It's like all these little words in there. And it takes a moment. So the size of the medium is very small, and I liked that puzzle that a hashtag creates. So then I made my poems into hash type. That's what my poems are, is this compact puzzle you have to undo, and then you see a meaning in it. And then you can go back out again and see the shape and the form.
In a short pre-interview, you mentioned the particular issues women face in a professional artistic career. It might be that being a woman of color and from a mixed cultural background actually exacerbates these issues. Can you elaborate a bit on that and how you, in particular, as a singer and performer, deal with these issues?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah.
In fact, my PhD thesis was about identity. So musical identity and how singers in particular, but musicians in general, how we form who we are on stage, amongst our colleagues, through the conservatoire system. How do we become musician? And I think, that thesis was partly, again, out of curiosity, a general curiosity, but there was also a self-exploration. What am I doing here in classical music in particular? Who am I in this? And firstly, as a woman, right now I'm in a more mainstream type of music. There are fewer women leads in this field. And it's very simple. I think there needs to be more. That's basically it. Instrumentalists, it's mostly men. We need more. Why not?
Yeah.
What is it that stops women from pursuing that? So, so the female side of it is very important. Right now I happen to be pregnant as well. And so planning gigs, planning rehearsals, having enough time, energy, thinking about a baby coming, scheduling. It's not unique to the music industry at all. It's across culture. It's just that we, as a society, on one hand say, yes, women, great, go for it, do your thing, you know, but then don't really make the space or the resources for us to be able to do it, as well as having a family, as you know. And so it's all of that wrapped up in the struggle that women still face in the industry.
Have you seen differences in, for instance, from different cultures? You've traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel different here now in the Netherlands than in, for instance, Canada or England or in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, in terms of gender equality, let's say, speaking again very generally, I would say the Netherlands is ahead of the game. Fine. However, there are still far more male instrumentalists that I see in bands and things than female. And also being an educator, I would like to encourage more women to be in those positions, and and just also take part, be able to take part. It's a pretty tough field, you know. You do have to be pretty tough to handle a lot of the personalities that you encounter, that I have encountered.
You can say that here in the Netherlands we have a lot of influx of a lot of different cultures, and luckily so. And so everybody influences each other. And was that a reason for you to come here? Did you feel comfortable with those different cultures all working together?
Yeah, well, I'll back up and say, I mean, the Netherlands is a predominantly white culture. Yeah. I mean, it's Western Europe. That is what it is. Yeah. So even as diverse as it is on the street, in institutional levels, you don't see that same level of diversity, and that has a lot to do with education and economic background. And so, yeah, you're not done yet with being this representation, let's say, of the ideal. It's not there yet. No. So don't stop looking for it. Yeah, keep going and keep working on it, because I'm odd because I'm a person of color, a woman of color in classical music, and there's not many of us. And you can name a few. Oh yeah, this person, that person, yeah. But then you're still naming the handful. Yeah. It's not the norm. Yeah. If you can name a few, that's not the norm, right? Yeah. So of course I felt that, and I noticed that. And throughout my career, you know, being a classical singer, of course the first thing people would say is, "Oh, you're a singer, you sing jazz." And actually, yeah. You laugh, but every time, every time I have to defend the art form that I've chosen, or that has chosen me. I don't know. So there's that. They call it microaggression. It's just the way people perceive who I am, and therefore put me in a box. And so that's something that I faced quite regularly in classical music. And now there's a bigger push for more representation of people of color in classical music. Again, I get back to its music, and why can't we just share and cross cultures and just work on it and work together, whatever. But I think that definitely there's still some work to do. Yeah, it's not done, and the Netherlands, as diverse as it is, it's definitely got its hierarchies, and the hierarchy. How many people of color do you see in government? Yeah. And again, you'll name one or two, and that proves the point.
Do you feel this is a task, or that you get extra on top of being an artist, and that you also become a representative for women and for women of color, and that you then have to load on all these extra jobs onto you, saying, well, now I have to behave in a certain way, or no, I have to push a little bit harder, or make my point a little?
Yes, yeah. It's not something that I mean, the work I am doing work now in diversity and inclusion because of what I look like, because of who I am in terms of my academic background, because I'm a trained classical musician and musician in general, let's even say. Often I'm asked, as a person of color, how do you blah blah. So then I am representing the whole, and I'm not comfortable with that, but I understand the need. There needs to be some voice. And that happens to be me in that moment. It would be great if it wasn't, but that's part of it.
So aside from being a performer and a writer, you also work at Code Arts in Rotterdam at the Royal Conservatory. Plus you do seminars across the globe. What does this work actually encompass?
I do a lot of things, yeah. At Code Arts, I spent most of my time there as an artistic research supervisor or coach for master students who were doing a thesis. So helping them to find a topic and develop it and pursue their ideas for deepening their musical knowledge, either about their instrument or about music in general. Also now at Code Arts, I am the coordinator of the research part of the arts therapies. So that's music and dance therapy. So this researcher is really in me, and I mentioned that my family, they're all scientists, and
so now they like you.
It's in me, yeah, for sure. This curiosity, and so that's what I'm doing there, and that takes up quite a bit of time, but I love that work. And at the Royal Conservatoire, that's where my work is in diversity and inclusion, and I'm advising there. And that came out of my work in my thesis, which was focused on identity of musicians and how we, in society, develop our identification. I mean, we have different levels, like man, woman, father, son. All of these labels come with different behaviors and norms that are associated with them. Okay, we're all individuals, fine, but still we belong to these groups.
Yeah.
And that came about, that work, because of who I was in a university system and then later on in the conservatoire system. A teacher who said to me, "Oh, you're quite good at rhythm for a singer." It never occurred to me that singers wouldn't be good at rhythm. He taught me that. He was a teacher of mine.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm not supposed to be good at rhythm. That's weird. And actually, that was the year that I quit choir and I joined the band, and I was playing percussion in the band because I thought it was cooler and much more fun. So let me do that. But it caused a stir. Strange. Of course, I was the only singer of color in that university, and all of the universities I've attended, or conservatoires that I've attended, I've been the only person of color. But that's normal throughout my whole life. Me and my brother and sister are the only ones. So that was been my experience, and the expectation that comes with that. As I said before, that I sing jazz, or that I can scat, and these kind of. Okay, you have to learn it like anything else, like anyone else. That's not what I was exposed to. So those are the things that I'm doing now, and my work in diversity and inclusion came out of my experience in my thesis, and how we communicate with each other in group settings, and how the identity of an institution even can or cannot, does or does not welcome different kinds of people. What are you saying as an institution in your website, in the people that you choose as teachers, in your student population? Who is welcome? And the easy answer is everyone's welcome, of course.
Yeah.
Not everyone is here. Why not? What are you missing? How do you find them? What have you been doing? Well, they come to us. People self-select. If they don't see themselves represented, they won't come. I don't belong there. It's very quick decision. Try to go somewhere else, perhaps, where they do belong.
Yeah.
So it's about that. That's one of the jobs that I do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nicole,
Yeah.
for wanting to do this.
My pleasure.
De live performances, lessen en interviews van de Dr. Jordan Institute kun je terugvinden op de website van Music Maker. Interface, gitarist, bassist en slagwerkrand, YouTube-kanalen en Facebook. En daarnaast natuurlijk ook in de bladen. Dank voor het kijken en graag tot de volgende keer. Dankjewel, Nicole.
Thank you.